Hello, Don.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. How about me?
Yeah, sounds great.
Great. No problems at all with the link?
No, it was one click and done.
Great. I am going to launch the email then. All right. Hello, all. 3 links. For those of you who are participating live on camera, please use the link I shared with you, Don. For those watching only this week, please use this link, and I tested the YouTube link, so they should be fine. And for all, the back channel is at, and we have a shared doc going for that. All right. It is away, and you should get a copy of it in a second.
Great, sounds great. What an awesome paper, huh?
Yeah, no, it's I'm super excited. I know I keep saying it, but thank you. I love seeing this process roll out, and it was actually a lot of fun to read through how you put it all together. I mean, it was very linear and very logical, but it will serve me well in the future. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with how it turned out. Of course, you've seen my aberrant behavior. I continue editing until the thing is published, and even afterwards, actually. And I worry things to death. So
that's well, it can be taken too far. Agreed, but that's you're a very valuable member of the team when you pay attention to details like that, because unfortunately, in my crazy life, that seems to go, which I need to stop and pause and check myself because of that. So
yeah, well, you got an awful lot of things going on too.
yeah. So it doesn't look like we have any early results in from the Iowa caucus quite yet.
Oh, don't share them. I want to see what's going on after this.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to share, so no spoilers, I promise. Just a lot of continued talk. So, but if memory serves, usually with the Iowa caucus, it's most results come back late in the night.
Yeah.
So we shall see. All right, let me just. Could you do me a favor and verify that you received that email from Sam?
Let me check on Sam. Just hang on.
I did get it. So.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not logged into Sam right now. I don't think.
Oh, that's wonderful. If you are receiving it via Gmail, this is new. You actually.
I got it on my Yukon account. Yeah. So that's good, and it was very quick. Last year there was 10 or 15-minute delay or something. It was slow.
Yeah, no, that's great. They and not only that, but because I put the YouTube link and the back channel link in there, it gives you links to those directly at the bottom, so you can see it's a Google Doc and a YouTube. So that's great.
Oh, I didn't get that message. I just got the test link message that you sent. There it is. Just came in.
Great.
Got it.
And
so how are we going to do the back channel tonight? Is somebody going to monitor it, or
I am?
You are. Okay.
Since you and Elena will be live on camera, they have a new feature so that I actually don't even have to take up a slot down below, because what I can do is I can hide from broadcast, so I can be listening and monitoring the back channel while you guys are running the show, and then I can jump in when appropriate.
Oh, now what happened to my let's see here.
You know what? I'm going to be right back. I just have to go tell my favorite teenage son to stay off the streaming for now.
Yep. I see.
Thanks, guys. You're so good, we can see double.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Maybe I'll just.
I think you have 2 windows open. Because I could kill one of them if you want.
No, I did. I killed it. But I'm getting echo now, which I didn't have before.
Hold on, I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's echoing me. I'm gonna
You
quit
know what?
and go back.
I
Go
think
back.
what just happened was that you're logged in as Sam and as Don.
Yeah, I quit Sam, but I'm gonna relog in.
Hi, Clint.
Hello. Elena, how are you?
Oh, there you are. I can barely hear you. Fine. How are you?
I'm good. Good. I'm just writing to some of our classmates on the back channel.
Oh, are people all there? That's
Yep.
good. Okay. Are we good with this test link?
Yep, we're good. So you can actually stay on it because we're good to go, assuming you are.
Oh, this is the real link?
This is it.
Okay. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Just wanted to test out my
All right.
headphones.
So we are live, Elena. I got it started early, and people are loading in and watching us. So anything you say can and will be used against you.
I'll keep that in mind.
And Don already told me no spoiler alerts from the Iowa caucuses, but I think it's too early to spoil anything anyway.
All right.
All right. So the back channel is busy. Are you?
I'm about to get on it.
Okay, great.
Getting myself organized.
We have 4 viewers officially, and Don should be jumping back in here any minute now. He was on, but he was. All right, Lauren should be joining us. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
How are you?
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out my lighting.
Yeah, I always have trouble with that.
you're a bit backlit, but we can live with that. So, but we prefer to see your face, but we can totally live with that.
I could probably shift a little bit, maybe. I don't.
You're breaking up a little bit, Lauren. Can you hear?
Yeah,
Can you hear me loud and clear?
we'll close and come back.
Great, go for it.
I can hear you.
I can hear you for the
Let me
most part, but
see.
you're kind of siloning a little bit. To use the technical term.
What happens with mine is that if I have anything else open, my computer gets angry.
Gotcha. Well, we would hate for your computer to get angry. So if you need to just focus on the video and not do the back channel or other things, the real action is going to be on the video. So the back channel is to help incorporate as many people as possible. So do what you need to do.
Because the only other thing, because it's just, I think it's maybe the age of computer now. I don't know.
Gotcha.
With Mike's class.
All right. Well, let's play it by ear. If I need to, I may mute you if it gets too noisy or whatever. It's fine right now. But if you ever want to talk and you can't talk for some reason, wave at the camera, and we'll certainly make sure that you get your 2 cents in. All right. I see Christine is on.
Hello.
How
Hi,
are
Christine.
you?
Okay.
Hi, Christine.
And
I
Leah
might,
as well. Hi, Leah.
Hi.
Hi,
I might
Leah.
All right.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
And
Lauren,
who is this orange person here? Is that Lauren?
Yes, Lauren is a Syracuse fan.
Well, so am I. I was there for 19 years as a professor.
Oh, there we go.
My daughters graduated from there. One of them did, and my wife taught there too. So there you go.
All right. So Lauren can have some allies.
Since all I can see of Lauren is a giant orange.
Yes.
Yeah.
the back channel is already sounding off on our Syracuse discussion, so and it's not entirely positive either. So we'll leave it at that.
So who are we missing yet here? There's one other person.
Raise your hand if you're not here.
Oh, somebody came in twice.
Oh, there we go. Lauren's an orange and a Lauren. Yay. There you are.
All right, Lauren, I may drop you because I'm trying to eject your old image because we have you lined up twice. So if I do that, please don't take it personally and just jump right back on.
Can you say something, Lauren, so we can check your sound?
Yeah, we can't hear you, Lauren.
Mm.
Let me make sure I don't have you muted. All right, that's muted. That is... All right, Lauren, I just muted you, so try unmuting yourself.
Just click on the, there you go.
No, say something really profound. No, can't hear you. Check the settings. I don't know if you're on a Mac or a PC.
Yeah, one thing to check is your sound output. If you go into your settings.
We heard some feedback.
I took my headphones out.
Yeah.
Now we can hear
There
you.
you are.
All right. Well, I could just go like that, I guess, or not. I'm by myself, so it shouldn't
Gotcha.
Yeah. Can you hear me with because I've got earbuds?
Yep, you're fine.
Okay.
Yep, can hear you fine.
Great.
Lauren, are you on a Mac or a PC?
be. Mac.
Gotcha. And again, forgive me if you're super tech savvy. I don't mean to be just going through the typical process. If, like Elena was saying, if you go System Preferences, Sound, and you can see your input and output. I don't know if your earbuds are getting picked up on there, but if you want to try it. But since we're a small, intimate group, it shouldn't be an issue. But we'll play it by ear and see where we're going. All right, it's 6:59. We have one more student that's coming in. Yes.
Should
Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Adam's coming in. Great. We'll give him another minute. So for all those who are watching, we have 6 viewers right now, and the back channel, like I said, is already going. So it looks like people are joining us. That's wonderful. It looks like the links are working all right. While we're waiting for our last participant here, were there any issues or suggestions around this process, video conferencing so far, that was unclear?
No, it's just my computer stinks.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we've done some Hangouts before, so.
Great.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Mike said this was an advanced group, so we're gonna take him at his word.
Yeah,
Yay.
look out. Yeah, we've got the early word on you guys.
Yeah, he even showed us how you could have extra like headdresses and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And backgrounds.
Like the secret's out. Yes, you get bonus points for that. So
Are we allowed to use the halo? Because we weren't before. That was Mike's.
Where's Adam?
I
Hi,
don't,
Adam.
Hey, Adam.
Oh,
I don't
there's
know.
Adam.
Don, do you have a preference of one of the halos or something that only you can use, or?
No. I think we should all have halos, right?
All right. Well,
Hey, Adam, can we check your sound and hear from you?
we can see you loud and clear, Adam. Can we give you a sound check?
Hey.
Hey, there you go.
There we are. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can hear you guys too.
Great.
Hey, that's great. That's great. Okay,
All right,
so are we
so-
all set there, Clint, or
Yeah,
ready to roll? Or?
I'm going to turn this over to you, Don, and I'm going to drop out, but I'm going to be listening. And
Whoops, we lost your sound, Clint.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he dropped out sooner than he thought.
Oh.
So, well, let's get started. It's great to see everyone here, and I do apologize for missing that first class session. I was having flight issues and couldn't get back from the West Coast in time. So, I think I've read all of your introductions. I appreciate you doing that as well.
Yeah,
Elaine?
thank you, everybody, for doing the introductions. It's a great way for us to kind of get to know you guys. I know you guys know each other a little bit better, but it's just nice for us to put faces to names. When we do the Hangouts, it's infrequent, and so it helps us learn who everybody is and hopefully learn a little bit about you too, besides just what we'll learn in this class. So thanks to everybody for that.
Yeah, so this is a class that Clint, Elena, and I teach, and this year we're in a very scary situation. In the last several years, Clint and Elena and another one of our colleagues have taken the lead on the class, and I've been there, but I haven't been doing all of the detail work. This year, Clint and Elena are finishing their dissertations, and so I've taken on the responsibility of managing the course, much of it. Elena and Clint are also doing a lot of things as well, but they're not taking the lead. So I'm entirely responsible for catastrophes as they happen, and they will happen when I'm in the lead, I can tell you that. So it's great to see everyone. We've got a little bit of an agenda here before we get to the conversation. Since we didn't have the initial Hangout, only one person participated, we wanted to check on some administrative and some learning issues. And the first item is we want to check to make sure all items for the class are accessible to you. And if they're not, you should let us know tonight, or if you discover they're not during the class, let Sam know or email me directly at my Yukon address as opposed to the Sam address. So these are things like the syllabus, the course homepage, the announcements, the emails from Sam, the MOOC form, the introductions page, the individual response page where you can post your responses to the weekly readings and so forth, and any other materials. Have you been having any difficulty accessing anything?
No. The only thing is that some things have gone to my Yukon email and some things have gone to my Gmail.
Yes.
And so I just wasn't sure which one I should check more often.
That's a great issue. I think we have shifted all of the SAM correspondence to Gmail except for two individuals who have given us accounts that they would prefer us to use. And those two people and I have had conversations about it, so I think we should be all set there.
Okay, great.
But otherwise, it'll go to your Gmail account, unless I hear from you that you want it sent somewhere else, and then we'll send it wherever you wish. So if there's a problem, email me directly or email Sam, and we'll fix it, okay?
Okay.
Any other issues accessing any of the materials?
Just the link to the sample video of a Hangout, was it? It was private when you clicked on it.
Yes, that was my quick move this afternoon without enough time to sort everything out. So it really isn't necessary because the Hangouts will work much better than they have in the past, I think. And the back channel people will be seeing it. They'll see how it all works, and we probably won't even need that link. I may post it up once we get access privileges sorted out to it.
Are they the same ones that are on the video channel link that are on the New Literacy's website too? So I saw there was a video channel link.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the video link on the New Literacy's website for this course, you will see some past videos. Yes. So you're there.
Yeah, boy, they've been. I knew this was an advanced class, huh? Elena, did you have any items in relation to the administrative issues?
No, I don't. Well, a couple, but they're on here, I think.
If I could just jump in, Don, and do one quick disclaimer, just
Sure.
assuming it's not obvious. This broadcast is actually going out live. There are only 6 viewers, and I think that's the remainder of our class, so this is not well viewed by those outside of our class. But I do just want to give everybody a heads up that we will talk about public schools and potentially anecdotes about your own personal situation and so forth.
Oh, very good.
It's always good to assume that this may be seen by others. If and when we want to have a conversation that we want to be more open and we don't necessarily want a future employer or a current employer to hear, that's fair. Let's just talk about that prior if we can. Or if the whole group decides we'd like to have that as the way we go forward, we can certainly have that conversation as well. This has been an interesting conversation in the past, and we have decided to stay open. For the main reason being, we think that if others can take advantage of this and learn something from it, and we can share it with the rest of the educational world, then we should do it. But of course, there are those situations where, as a class, we need to go behind doors and speak as a class, so we can do that as well. So if it's an issue, let us know. If not, assume openness until further notice.
Yeah, that's an important.
Can I have cough. I am sorry. I've just developed a really bad cough, and I have cough drops in the other room.
Oh,
Please go get
I
them.
apologize if I keep coughing.
That's fine. If anybody needs to get up for a second, that's not a problem.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, bathroom breaks are on your own time.
Okay, I'll assume that the access to information and the online resources are available there. Let me move to the next item. I, again, made a mistake, and I made access available to everyone for the Cycle A groups. We have grouped you together, but I'm not supposed to make access to this available until this coming Monday when the Cycle A officially will begin. Right now, you're in the launch week of Cycle A, not the project part of Cycle A. And so after this session, I'm going to go back in and take off the access privileges to that. You're not missing anything by not having it because your focus this week is on the readings and the response for the launch of Cycle A. So if some of you got a message that you had access to this folder, well, just ignore it. I'm going to turn it off. And then late Sunday night probably, because I'm always a little bit ahead of things, I'll probably send out a note and give everyone access to your folders, your group folders, and you'll have your group assignments. We've grouped you according to level that you're working at. So secondary teachers are with secondary teachers, middle school teachers are with middle school teachers, and elementary teachers are with elementary teachers. And so we're hoping that that will make things easier this first cycle at least. When you're with an age, relatively an approximate age group with your colleagues, it should speed things up a little bit. There are benefits to going cross-grade level, of course, but for right now, for the first one, we're going to do it that way. Let's see. We wanted to take, Elena, do you want to take this next one?
Which next one?
Number 3?
Sure. I mean, I guess the next question about assignments, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have questions about assignments that we can clarify for you so far?
I just wanted to make sure it's okay to post. We've got the questions in the format of a Google Doc. Do we just put our answers right there in that document, or do we need to post it somewhere?
Yes, that's a good question. So everybody has their own sheet in the Works Completed folder, and yes, you do post your answer right under the assignment for that week.
Okay.
And you should be the only person that can see that one. Is that right,
Yes.
Don?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
you should be the only person for the
Sam-
individual assignments that can see it.
Sam and the individual who posted it.
Yeah.
Yep. And you will be getting responses to that shortly for the introductory week, and then shortly after each assignment is completed, we like to give you responses. So
And we
we'll let
usually.
you- go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I said we usually comment right in that Google Doc, so
Right.
everything will happen in that doc.
Right.
All right.
And
I'm sorry, I may have misheard you. I just want to make sure that our assignment, the document that was shared with us, that is where our response is being completed and graded. There's not a separate, I thought there was a sheet or something that you had said.
no, there's a separate folder for the group projects in each of the cycles, and that'll be a separate location where you'll all have access to the resources, the assignment, the evaluation criteria, and the place where you will post your collaborative group response to that.
Okay, I see.
So they're both group and individual locations.
Yeah.
I have a quick question from the back channel. As far as responses go, the general level of formalness or informalness. Elena, you want to take this?
Yeah. I mean, I think you should assume that it's formal. It is a formal assignment. For the individual responses, and Don and Clint, you guys can jump in if you disagree with this, but for the individual responses, they're formal, but it's also a response exercise. So we want you to engage in the response, engage with the response and with the questions on a personal level, but also in a way that brings in the readings. But yeah, you should be citing the readings, use APA, and it should be a formal response, but one that, for the responses, it's personal. I would say the group projects are a little more formal. They require specific things depending on the project, and some of those can be a response type project, and some they're different depending on the project. But yeah, you should assume it's a formal assignment.
Yeah, the most important thing there, I think, is APA, because APA is the style of the university and your program and your department, and so that's just always assumed, I guess.
Yeah. And then I would say the Hangouts are a little more informal. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, any other questions or concerns about administrative or learning issues for the class?
Sorry, I was checking the back channel. All's well here.
Okay. Just remember, at any time, if you have a question, send it to Sam or send it directly to me. I tend to be online a lot, and I'll get it directly to my Yukon address. Sam, I tend to check early every morning. So if you need an immediate response, send it to my Yukon address. But if you can wait until the morning, then send it to Sam. Okay? Okay, so let's start the conversations here, and these are open, free-floating conversations, and we gave you some of all of the questions actually in advance, so you could do a little bit of thinking. And the first one is, especially in my area of interest, I guess, it's that depending upon how you frame a problem, that either leads to better or weaker solutions, and certainly better implementation or weaker implementation in schools. And so your readings have framed technology integration as a new literacy issue. And the question is, would it be better framed as a technology issue? We could have framed this as simply a technology issue. And sort of what are the consequences of how you frame it as a literacy issue, or whether it'd be better to be framed as a technology issue? And so why do you think that would be the case? And maybe there's another way of framing it that might even increase uptake by teachers and lead to better instruction. The basic challenge is, it's hard to continually take new ideas in as a teacher. Most of us have experienced a phenomenon where just about every year there's a new buzzword in our district, and we're getting professional development in that buzzword, and then another year comes and, oh, now we got a new one, or we get a new superintendent, and all of a sudden things change, or a new principal and things change. And that's a bit frustrating, certainly for uptake, but how should we frame this issue of technology or and learning with online information? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think, I mean, something that was interesting to me from the readings is I think that the terms technology and literacy, at least as we're looking at them, are really complementary. And I think that we can all agree with the fact, and the reading brought this up, and I mean, just in our own experience, technology itself as like a term and a space in which we work changes so rapidly. And so like this article talked about just how difficult it is to even study like a particular technology because of its constant evolution. So, you know, when I work with other teachers at my school, and you know, I'm trying to get them ready to use something like Google Classroom, for example, but often the conversations that we have about it are how we can use Google Classroom for teaching and not just as a technology, because I find that if you use that specific term of technology versus ultimately what we're looking at here, literacy, people tend to, I think, look at that technology with tunnel vision. And that is sort of the be-all, end-all of what they're trying to learn and consider, rather than the impact that that could have on literacy skills, for instance, or helping them to redefine literacy skills. So, so I think they're absolutely complementary, but just in my own experience and trying to get other people to think about them, we can't just think about technology as sort of a silo, which can be intimidating.
I was thinking too, kind of building off what you were saying, that the new literacies we're talking about all have to do with technology. So like you're saying, they do kind of complement each other. You can't have the new literacies without having the new technology.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that there are teachers who are afraid of technology. I mean, there's teachers that I work with that you're talking about a new technology and they're afraid of it. They don't want to learn a new technology. They're more willing to learn a new literacy skill because they're used to that than a new technology skill. So if we frame it as technology skills, then while we know that they're one and the same, if you frame it as teaching kids new literacy skills and helping them improve their literacy in a new way, I think people will be more likely to learn a new technology if it's being framed as a literacy as opposed to a technology, which frightens them. So it's all about the packaging, even though they're getting the same outcome.
Yeah, I think some people too will, I don't want to say brush technology aside. I mean, technology is very important, but everyone sees literacy as a core part of the curriculum, whereas, you know, technology, a lot of people still see as an add-on. It's a bonus, it's icing, but it's not the substance of what a lot of people see as what we're doing with our kids. And so I think when you frame it just as a technology, it's easier for some people to brush it off.
And what's kind of interesting to me too is that I think that so many teachers who perhaps we see as being averse to technology and maybe can't reconcile what literacy means in context of technology are actually teaching literacy skills and new literacy skills to kids already. But it's almost like, you know, you add on this concept of technology and suddenly it becomes scary. So the thing that I keep thinking of as an English teacher, and this was in the introductory video and I wrote about this a little bit in my response, but the idea of critical reading and close reading, I should say. And as an English teacher, and I'm sure we all do this across disciplines too, not English specific, but if we ask kids to do research, so many teachers just assume that kids know what that means now, and that they know how to go online and they can find sources and they can, you know, steer clear of Wikipedia or sites like that. And really, you know, according to just some of the introductory material that we've done in here, that is kind of engaging in a new literacy. It's using technology to be a critical evaluator of what you're learning and how you're thinking. But it's so funny because I think that if I would ask some of my colleagues who may not be super on board with integrating new technologies into their room, they may not see it that way at all. And that assumption, I mean, there's sort of a gap, I guess, in that thinking that I'm really curious about.
Yeah, I totally agree, Adam. I mean, when I do my first research project with the kids at the beginning of the year, we spend the first 15 minutes of that class talking about what makes a good site, like what URLs should they look for, like .com versus .org, .edu. Not going to the very first site that you find, not going to something like Yahoo Answers where anybody can put their opinion on, trying to find out a little bit about the author, try to see if you can learn who that is. So it's definitely a new literacy skill that these kids don't necessarily know. They think, oh, well, I can just go to the very first thing that pops up, whether it's useful or not.
I taught social studies last year, and now I just teach language arts because we taught 2 subjects last year. They switched things around, but there's a project for ancient Egypt that did, and they did it again this year. And they rely so much on books that we have in the library for their research, where I feel like it would be such a great opportunity to allow them to, because it's their first time going through the full research process, and it's a process that gets repeated in 7th and 8th grade as well. And they just kind of let them, and I did this too, so I take full responsibility, but let them go to the books, and they weren't as comfortable with going online to do research. But we didn't really structure the project in a way that we allowed time to show them how to go online and find some of the sites. And then the sites that were available, a lot of them were put together already on like the library's homepage. So all they had to do was go to these sites rather than letting them try and go and find some of their own. I just feel like it was almost a missed opportunity that we could really use. And they do a similar project 1 or 2 more times during the year, depending on the teacher, and we could have just built off of that moving through. So if had I taught it again, there's so much I would have done differently, and then I feel like the project would have been over at this point, and I would be doing this now and looking back and being like, oh my God, there was so much more I should have taught into.
So are you saying that one way to frame it might be, or one way to approach it might be to integrate the technology skills with existing curriculum?
Yeah, I mean it so clearly like would work. I mean, if you look at it and you're like, that would make total sense to put together.
That brings up a strategy I often use. When I'm a pretty devious person, and I'm trying to get change to happen as quickly in this area as possible in schools so our kids are better prepared. What I do typically when I'm speaking to secondary school teachers, I talk about this as a learning issue, not as a literacy issue, largely because often, I know English educators get the literacy issue, but most of the content area teachers at the secondary level don't see literacy as their function. They see their function as content, and delivering content and getting the kids to understand the knowledge in their discipline and so forth. And so literacy doesn't always resonate with them as a way to approach the problem and frame it. But when I frame it as a learning problem, a learning issue, a changing nature of learning in classrooms today, then they get it. And I think I get a little bit more buy-in. Now, at the elementary level, the middle school level, I often talk about literacy, new literacies, and even frame it as a reading issue. A lot of this is a reading issue, not at the middle school level, but more at the elementary level, and in order to get greater buy-in by teachers there. So just from a personal, anecdotal, strategic point of view, I frame the problem a little bit differently as I approach different audiences because I'm trying to maximize uptake and integration. Do we have any comments from the back channel there, Clint?
We do. We had an interesting back and forth. I hope Matt and Alexa don't mind me putting them on the spot. I don't think they do. About, if I could summarize the conversation, it's really about, are these small changes that are necessary, that we're almost there and we just need to kind of tip the balance over, and they're going to correct me if they think I'm summarizing wrong, where the other side of the argument seemed to be that we really need to dive deeply into the curriculum and make some of these changes in the integration piece a fundamental part of that curriculum writing process. So it's interesting, the conversation's kind of going both ways. I don't think they're necessarily opposed. I think both can be possible. I think it depends a little bit on the teachers and the current level of the staff and leadership as well. But that's the back and forth that's going on around this conversation on the back channel.
That's interesting. We're writing new science curriculum right now with the next generation science standards coming out, and it's all about STEM and teaching kids all these critical skills. And so last summer we just did like a basic, what does our curriculum look like now, what's coming up, but this summer we're really going to get into like how are we implementing. And I'm on the committee, and I'm hoping that I can, steer some of the conversation towards technology. I mean, I said to the curriculum leader at one point, instead of buying textbooks for every one of our students in every science class from, definitely 6th grade to 12th grade, we could use some of that money for technology things. I mean, we rarely use the textbook as it is. We have lots of other articles, online articles, things like that, that the textbooks it's a lot of money, and we could do something better, like getting the kids tablets or getting more subscriptions to online things that we could use in online textbooks. But I'm hoping to sort of steer the conversation towards technology a little bit more this summer while we are doing our actual curriculum writing for the next few years.
A related thought there, Leah, is that North Carolina a year and a half ago passed a law in the state that no curriculum purchases beginning in January 1st, 2017 can be anything other than digital.
Ooh.
So all curriculum has to be digital in 2017. Now, those are legislatures, making decisions about education, and they didn't think at all about the ramp to that context and professional development and planning and so forth. So now the state is struggling, how do we do this, how do we do this? But they put a team in place, and they're trying to figure it out. But that law is on the books. Florida is about set to pass a similar law.
I will bring that up then.
I think, too, actually, you raise an interesting point about, we were talking about technology in terms of skills, but you also raised the issue of integrating technology in terms of a resource issue and how you allocate your resources. So it's just another aspect that we didn't necessarily talk about that you raised.
So I'm going to raise one more. Go ahead, please, Adam.
Oh, I was just going to say, in thinking about resource allocation, I go back to the research project and the library's role in the research project, and in kind of putting all of the sites together for the kids. And it's something that our district is currently looking at. We have a new superintendent who's making a lot of changes in the district, and is considering the role of the library. And it is really sort of rapidly challenging people to define what the library's role is. And so I think, in that example, it's a case of good intentions, but perhaps good intentions that don't actually teach kids a whole lot. And so I don't know what our library system is going to look like, but I think as teachers in classrooms consider this paradigm shift that they might have to consider for their own pedagogy, that in 2016, you can't be a teacher who doesn't use technology anymore. It's really interesting to see how that's going to grow alongside what the library is going to look like, because I know it's not just our district that's reconsidering what it means to be a librarian and how you work with students and with classroom teachers. So that was kind of an interesting example.
That's interesting. We just found out, Laura and I, that our superintendent is leaving to go somewhere else, so we'll be getting a new superintendent this year. So maybe we can send some questions toward the hiring committee, like, make sure you ask whoever these new people are about their views on technology and what we can do to make technology better.
I would definitely recommend asking your superintendent those questions.
We'll have a direct line to the superintendent for this.
That's highly encouraged in this course, giving your superintendent as much feedback as possible. If they accept it, you can give us credit. If not, you're on your own.
The next discussion question is really in Elena's ballpark, one of her areas of interest. So do you want to take that one, Elena?
Sure. Well, the second set of questions, I'll just read them to remind us, is about how we should think about integrating technologies for elementary school kids. So should young children even be exposed to the internet, or should they be limited to apps and restricted digital environments? And what vision should we have for digital technologies, including the internet, in primary classrooms? And I think this isn't, this is such a new area that it's not one we necessarily have answers for, which is why I think these questions are so interesting and also, so important, because kids are young and we don't know what effect it'll have on them. Potentially very good ones, but also I think can be a scary area. I think I mentioned in my introduction, I have a 2-year-old, and so, it is kind of scary to think about, how much technology do I expose her to, how much screen time, what's the quality of the different technologies that she might be exposed to. So it's sort of an open and ongoing question. So I'll leave it at that and let you guys talk about it.
I think it's really.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was just out to dinner the other night, and there was a family. It was a birthday party. I think it was a 10-year-old and then a couple of kids all under. They all had their own phone or iPad that they were sitting around and playing with the entire time throughout the dinner. And so I just feel like it's all over the place now.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because we went out to dinner with my husband's family a couple months ago, and there was a family of 4. It was 2 parents and 2 kids, and they weren't interacting at all. The kids both had their screens in front of them, so it's kind of an interesting, I don't know if that's good or bad, but and I don't know what that means for classrooms too, how they're used in classrooms, and also what effect it has if kids are using little kids' screens at home. Does that then mean that they should be learning how to use them well in school?
Well, maybe something that I think of, and I don't pretend to know the first thing about what it means to be like an elementary school teacher. That is just a totally different world for me than being in high school. But a parallel concept that I think of, because we have these questions at our school, like whether our internet, our system, our network should be open for our students at school, and if we should just remove all of the restrictions and deal with things on a case-by-case basis. With those conversations in our school, I'm for that because I think that, again, given our building and certain considerations that we're making, I think it only makes sense to, in a responsible environment like a school, right, not pretend that kids aren't, as soon as they walk outside of our building, bypassing our network restrictions or finding ways even within our building to move around them. And I just apply that when I think about little kids too. What better way to start being familiar with technology and considering what it means to consume media online, to do research online, to explore new technologies and, of course, new literacies online than in a safe academic space in a classroom. And I just tend to feel, obviously I don't want kids glued to screens all day under any circumstance, but it makes more sense, especially given the fast and changing nature of technology. Why wouldn't we start encouraging them to learn what it means to go online and learn what it means to be safe online when they're little? And who better to help them with that than a classroom teacher in a school environment? I just think that first exposure can be really beneficial versus ignoring the fact that many of them have these devices already and then sort of assuming that they know how to navigate the Wild West, so to speak, on their own without adult supervision or adults helping give them context for what it means to go online.
I think that's what.
Go
ahead. Oh, I was going to say, I think that's what a lot of teachers do. We make an assumption that because every kid has an iPhone, because they all have a tablet, that they know how to be successful in getting the right information, making the right choices. And I think like in anything that you're going to teach them, you need to scaffold and you need to give them, kind of baby steps. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't take a 3rd grader to the library and say, here, go write a research report on George Washington. You're going to show them, here are some books, and you're going to walk them through the steps. And I think that's kind of a no-brainer for me. With anything, no matter what you're teaching them, you need to give them something that's challenging for them, but something that they can still handle, something that they can process. And you do need to take into account the fact that they probably are navigating the internet anyway, maybe without supervision from a parent. So it doesn't make sense to not give them that guidance.
Yeah, and the idea of like having a more restricted access for the younger kids, mm-hmm. I think is a good idea. But by the time they're 4th, 5th grade, hopefully they'll have learned enough so that they know what they're doing. But we should be giving kids instruction on how to use things. They're already using it. You go to the Apple store and you see kids as young as like 3 or 4 years old sitting there playing on the Apple products. So, I mean, even kindergarten, first, second grade, I think they need to be learning how to use this, but kind of like the Orca took us through the steps. I think that's something we should be doing with kids that young, where they're not going to access any website they want to, but being able to pull information out of pre-approved or pre-set websites for them, teaching them those literacies that way, and then slowly starting to integrate this is how you find different things, I think is good. And also teaching them how to communicate online. I mean, these kids are so used to communicating through a phone, or through something where they don't actually see the other person, that teaching them how to do that in appropriate ways is good too, instead of whatever mean thing they might say on Snapchat. Well, okay, this is school. Like, you need to know how to communicate appropriately, say what you're saying. And even the younger kids, I think training them young about how to appropriately communicate is a really good way to go.
Well, and that's something, as we've looked at this, like within my district, one thing that we have advocated for is exactly what you just said, that if we were to go to an open network policy for our high schools, that would not necessarily be the case for the middle school and the elementary schools, just because kids are at different, spaces. We recognize the importance of their being able to go on, which is important. So that idea of scaffolding is critical. And I just forgot what else I was going to say.
I'll jump in then and let you think of what you're going to say. We're all going to, or not all, but we're talking about one-to-one. I know my son is going to get an iPad next year when he goes to high school. We give them this technology and we want them to use it, but have we given them the training? My son knows how to go online, he knows how to play video games, he knows how to do a lot of different things with technology, but when he gets this iPad, I kind of wonder how much training they're going to be giving him in, here's how to use it well. Not just here, take it, but here's how to use it to help you organize, to help you take notes, to help you access information. Because without that sort of guidance, I can just see it, for my son anyway, being a huge distraction. And a way to get off task instead of a way to be on task.
I think it gets into the point too of how, though, if you're a teacher working with really young kids, you need to have the training yourself too of what should someone who's a first grader actually be doing, what is appropriate on the internet, and that might involve some more professional development and things like that to help them be able to use it. Because I could just see a lot of kids, if it's a swiping thing, just doing this.
So that's kind of an interesting consideration too, because I think part of the way the question was posed was, should we let kids go online, or should we consider restricting maybe to an app environment or something like that, especially for younger kids? What's kind of interesting to me is that even though apps like on an iPad or an iPhone live in their own sort of sandbox sequestered environment, I don't know. The more that I think about how technology emerges and how we use it, I don't know if there's that much of a difference between using an app and using the internet anymore, because it seems so pervasive and they're so linked together. So I almost think when I have my kids work on certain things and we talk about using the internet, that is that conversation is almost synonymous with, you can also use all of these different apps that are hooked into the internet that are just different versions. So I don't know where necessarily I'm going with that, but it's just kind of an interesting consideration that it seems like if we're teaching how do we use the internet, how do we navigate this, this concept of new literacies online, apps are, such an essential component of it, because they don't work like software maybe of 10 years ago where it's such a separate environment that you use it in. We're so specialized with everything into the internet at this point in time.
Let me jump in. I'm just curious, Lena, sorry. I think you bring up a good point, because it's funny. We used to spend a lot of time, at least I did, when kids would talk about getting on the internet, and I would say, well, are you on the World Wide Web, or are you using something else? And I won't go back too far. But I think it is coming back around again, where we see the literacies around how do I navigate a website versus an app, they're actually being designed to come closer and closer together so that that experience is seamless. A lot of schools are rolling out Chromebooks. It's the #1 educational device this year. Those are web pages, but a lot of them are enhanced web pages with software pieces that have hooks into the browser that make them feel more like an app or more like a piece of software. So I think it's an important point for us to consider when we think of the new literacies of the online world that we're talking about. And more importantly, even than that, this will continue to change and evolve, and that's really a big part of the work that we're all doing.
I wonder if there's a difference between apps and apps. That is, many of the apps that I see in elementary grades are quite restricted information environments. That is, they're often used to teach early reading skills. They're often used to teach basic math facts. And they're quite restricted. Some apps, on the other hand, actually access online information and allow you to do things with it. And those apps are quite different. But a lot of what I see in the elementary grades, anyway, is more really restricted apps that restrict the information that's provided to students. So there's very little critical evaluation training. And there's very little information flow back and forth with other individuals. But other apps are open and accessible and lead to greater learning. But I just get a little bit concerned sometimes when I go into classrooms and I see all of these restricted apps. And of course the teachers are raving about them because they fulfill certain instructional obligations that they have, but they really don't prepare students for some of the open and more flexible information contexts that exist. But maybe that's me.
Well, and just to add to that too, I think this goes back to what we were talking about in the first question, where you guys were saying that technology seems to work well when it's integrated with other skills, and rather than just having an app in a vacuum. I think some of the best technology lessons I've seen are where teachers use some kind of technology, whether it's an app or something on the internet or whatever it is, and it's integrated into some offline skills as well, sort of in a more natural way, which is kind of what you guys were saying earlier. Mm-hmm. I was curious too, since you guys are all secondary teachers, what you would like to see, how you would like to see kids prepared, and whether you feel like kids that are coming into your classes are well prepared for what you would like to see them do, or I guess kind of what you would tell teachers of younger students in terms of integrating technology.
I think like one of the things is just the use of technology. I mean, when I went to use my research project for the fall was on Socrative, and for the kids, a lot of them used their phones, and it was just kind of too novel of an experience for them, and they just were very distracted by the fact that their phone was in the classroom. Yeah. So I don't think that the kids should be using their phones in elementary school, but just more like technology as a tool versus technology as fun.
That happened with we have Pro books, which are touchscreen and have a keyboard, and just anytime I use them, it's like the craziest thing ever for them. Even though I know they have computers at home, I know they go on their cell phones all the time, but the fact that they could use it in my classroom for a little bit was just like in and of itself a special treat for them. And it could just be when they're typing something in a Word document.
Well, I think that this isn't necessarily like a scaffolded thing from elementary up through high school that I'd like to see people use, but I think so many people are afraid of mobile devices to begin with, like cell phones as distractions, iPads as distractions, things like that. And it varies, from school to school. I know we're looking at one-to-one too, like some of the schools you talked about, but I also will ask my kids to take out their phones sometimes, and it's so funny because they do look like, like you had said, that suddenly they just won something, or it's a big treat that I'm letting them use their phones to look up this piece of information or this word. And it's like night and day when I talk to some of my colleagues about letting my kids do that, and people are sort of, they're distractions immediately, and that's the first thing that people think of. So I think that's something that I would like to think of, and I don't have a great answer for it because they certainly can be distractions for kids, but just the use of mobile technology and embracing the idea that using technology well for educational purposes doesn't just mean opening up a laptop or sitting at a desktop station anymore. And I don't think we do a good enough job with our students and with ourselves as teachers to understand that.
Yeah, I think if they were exposed more to mobile tech, even just like here and there multiple classes, things like that. Like, I think that would reduce some of the novelty of it. I mean, our kids can't take their phones around school. Like, they sit in their locker, so it's up to the teacher's discretion. But I think if more teachers knew of ways they could be used in just small ways here or there, then the kids would get more used to, okay, this phone is in the classroom for this. And, I said that to them 1,000 times, but it didn't stop them from wanting to go and check to see who had Snapchatted them in the last 15 minutes, even though all the kids' phones were supposed to be in their locker anyway. But I think the more they're exposed to it as phone in school, as mobile tech to use for class, not, oh my gosh, the phone's in the classroom, I need to check all of my things, this is the coolest thing ever.
So it sounds like one of the big themes you guys are saying is that even just teaching younger kids sort of the culture of using technology and getting them used to learning how to use it appropriately would be a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the etiquette of it maybe, when it's appropriate to have it and when it's not, something as simple as that. For me, one of the big issues is a lot of kids put the ultimate faith in anything that they do online, and it's that for them, it's always better if it's online. I teach language, and so Google Translate is the be-all and end-all. Doesn't matter that it's not really accurate. It doesn't matter that you're saying things that are silly or embarrassing maybe. If Google Translate said that's how you do it, then that's how you do it. And so I want them to come to me with more of a realistic sense of what it can do for them if they use it appropriately, but not thinking that it's going to solve all of their problems or do all of their work for them, or be better just because it's technology.
That's even this is simple, but even using spell check on the computer, and if they just automatically right click and pick the first correct option, that means it's
right.
That's the right one.
Yeah, not thinking about it,
yeah.
not reasoning it through, just a knee-jerk reaction.
Yep.
Did you folks have an opportunity to look at, I think there was one chapter in there with instructional ideas. Did you have a chance to look at that?
The dual level theory article?
No, that one, but there was also another one I thought that...
Yes. Seeing the forest, not the trees, I think is the one you're talking about.
Oh, from the intro?
From
Mm-hmm. I thought there were 4, and forest and trees, and...
There's an inequality gap, and seeing the forest through the trees were part of the introductory week.
Yes, and I thought the launch week had the dual theory and also one instructional chapter. It didn't?
I mean, last time I looked, there was just one.
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't get posted. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's skip that one, and let's go to the differences between uppercase new literacies and lowercase new literacies. So the issue here is this just theory, or is there some connection to instruction here? And if there is some sort of connection, what is it? Is this, I guess the basic issue is this uppercase, lowercase, is it just esoteric, unrelated to classroom practice, or does it have some implications for classroom practice? Oh, we stumped.
Right. I think I find my notes on them.
I know.
I was pulling.
Let me launch it in a little bit on this and work with defining uppercase and lowercase and where those things came from, and then maybe we can have a conversation about it. The basic challenge that we have from a research point of view in this field is that everything is changing so rapidly. That is, by the time you get an article out published, that technology context is no longer the same. And you really can't even replicate that study. Somebody can't come along and see if your results are consistent with their results. It's a real problem from a research point of view. So to get around that and to deal with this new context of rapid continuous change in learning context, we suggested that maybe if we thought about these things that change rapidly as separate areas of research, and one might say separate areas of instructional practice too, as lowercase new literacy. So this might be, for example, text messaging, email software, word processing software. Those all change. I mean, they come out with new iterations, and their new skills and strategies are required for each one just about every year. And there are also separate lines of research that people are conducting. But then if you look across all of those separate new literacies areas, whether instructionally or in a research perspective, you can start to discern certain commonalities, certain patterns that exist no matter what lowercase new literacy you're talking about. There's certain things that appear to be the case, certainly more often than not, but often in almost every single context that you look at. And those larger principles that are common to all of these lowercase specific technologies, we've suggested would best be looked at as uppercase new literacies, things that are more stable, that can provide initial direction for either instruction or research, and are common across all platforms, all tools, all technologies, whatever term you wish to use to capture the nature of these lowercase, more specific technologies that rapidly change.
Well, I guess, I mean, I think that those, I think they absolutely have a place and a role in our classroom. I mean, in terms of reading this and in considering the fact that sometimes educational research can feel esoteric and isolated, and maybe it doesn't have a strong role in thinking about, or in our thinking about our classrooms. When I was reading this, I mean, the big thing that kept standing out to me, and even as you talk about, you know, lowercase new literacies versus uppercase new literacies, synthesis seemed to be the most important thing that I was at least pulling from this, that kids are able to use whatever the mode of technology is, so that you know, it's not just the finding of information, for example, but it's the ability to look at multiple pieces that are perhaps moving or changing together and consider the implications for that. I mean, we do that all the time, or I have my students do that all the time when we look at multiple texts in any format in class, whether it's more of a traditional book or a printed poem, or they're doing some complementary research online. So at least when I read this dual level theory paper, that was the first thing that stood out to me. Was it seemed like, you know, capital N new literacies, we're looking at how are we, you know, synthesizing all of these technologies that are constantly changing into something that makes sense for our pedagogy and that strikes at the heart of evaluation and synthesis. And that's what I mean, even as you were just talking about it right now, that word came back to my head again, that it seems like it's asking us to consider how we synthesize all of these things into our pedagogy, which, I mean, is not easy, but is important for students, especially if we expect that they can engage in that skill too.
Yeah, and I think that the lowercase new literacies, I mean, they're keeping up with the fact that things are changing so rapidly. I mean, I'll have students tell me about something and I'll go, I don't even know what that is. I mean, they're often more on the cutting edge of the new lowercase new literacies than we are. So if they, I mean, I was kind of thinking of them as they're the lowercase new literacies, which makes us the uppercase new literacies, because we're the ones taking everything that we've found from other places and what they're giving us to create some commonalities, some common findings between what all the kids are doing, what we're learning, to create this new pedagogy.
I think the dog disagrees.
Yeah.
Your cat was getting nervous there, Leah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got terribly distracted by the dog barking, Leah. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think Aria somehow managed to as well.
Well, I'm hearing with not a lot of resonance on this, that this is more a research and theory issue more than it is an issue for practice. I'm not convinced of that, though. I really think that as teachers, and I consider myself a teacher, I know you folks probably look at me as one of those abstract, esoteric university researcher types, but I don't know if you know this or not, but I took a semester off and taught in the New London schools, 7th grade English language arts, a number of years ago, to just, not a number, but relatively recently, to try and evolve a new model of instruction with one-to-one environments, one-to-one laptops as part of our work project. And I also, you may not believe this, but I think I can go into just about any teacher's classroom after observing for a day and do a bang-up job of instruction. I care very deeply about the instructional aspects of my work. At any rate, it seems to me that as I encounter all of these different and separate and distinctive lowercase kinds of technologies and think about their application in school classrooms and then watch them change over time, I begin to develop a set of ideas about instruction and instructional integration with these technologies that apply regardless of what type of technology I'm talking about. There are certain kinds of principles, for example, that I have reached conclusions about. That is, when you have students collaborate with one another, learning is enhanced, but even more so with different technologies, as they teach one another not only the skills for using the technology, but also the information, and have conversations about the information that emerges. And that when students work individually, learning is diminished with these tools and with these technologies. So that's one of the principles, I think, that, to me, that applies across all of them. And it's even more powerful, I think, in technologies, digital technologies and online technologies than it is with traditional print technologies. Certainly you get some effect when there's collaboration with traditional print technologies, but it's especially noticeable with digital tools, I have found.
Don, can we do a quick clarification, because we are getting close on time, but
Yep.
I'm looking at the back channel. Could you do a 30-second to a minute on upper versus lowercase, because I think there's some confusion. There's a little discussion
Yep.
about Bloom's taxonomy and other things, but just framing that, I think, will set really good context for future readings and future discussions.
Think of lowercase new literacies as technology specific. That is, they're specific to a particular technology. They can be broader than that, but it's so if whatever tools you're using, let's say if you're using video, okay, that's an example of lowercase. If you're using word processing tools or drawing tools, that's an example of lowercase. But at the uppercase, these are principles that apply across all of those different digital tool uses in almost every case that appear to be common. And so we can say that instruction changes when you integrate technology in the class, and that's going to happen with whatever tool you use. You can indicate that collaboration is our learning is enhanced when there's collaboration with these digital tools, and that happens consistently across. So these are larger scale principles that apply, that inform your decisions about the integration and the use of specific tools in your classroom. From a research point of view, they're larger principles that drive the kind of questions that we seek to study and address. Does that help? Hope it does.
Yeah, I think that's much more clear, Don.
If
Thank
not,
you.
you'll probably get an awful lot more of it in this class, because it's one of the both the blessings and the curses of university work is that when you take a course with a professor, you get that professor's point of view. So what I tell all of my students is never take two courses by the same professor, because you just get the same point of view in a different context. So you'll get it in this class. Yeah, we should wrap up. We've got 7:59. Any quick comments summarizing how this session went for you?
I thought it went well. It's a good number of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's
I
good
Good
feedback.
feedback.
Yeah, I'm glad it was made smaller from what it originally was.
Yeah.
Although, yes and no, because Christine and I are just so fortunate enough to get to do this again.
Well, you know,
Although it is nice to be able to see people instead of just working in discussion boards, so I do appreciate that. It's nice to see you all.
Likewise.
it's especially nice for Clint and Lena and myself as we come to get to know each and every one of you. And not only that, but we get insights that you share that really inform our own work in these conversations. So with that,
If I could just jump in, Don, I'm sorry. I just want to. I can't go without recognizing all the hard work that's been going on in the back channel. I would encourage everyone, even if they weren't in, if they were on the call or were watching live and not had a chance to go in, there's some wonderful comments. I couldn't certainly not get them all in. But I encourage people to take a look, read through it, make changes, add comments or notes, or even add questions and so forth, because I think we're going to go through it to help kind of see an understanding of where people are at so we can adjust moving forward. And if it's a lot and there's a lot of different people jumping in, but please use the revision history component of Google Docs. I think that will help you kind of figure out where people are at and what where the conversation is headed. So bravo to all those who are participated back there.
Because, wait, can I just ask, I told you because I just can't open too many things at once. It was it the second link in the email you had sent us before?
Yeah, I'll put it right here.
It's the third.
Okay.
Yeah, of the email I sent you, there are 3 links. First one was those of you who participated live. Second link was for those who could watch on YouTube, so they did not participate but watch.
Okay.
And then many of those people were also in the back channel, which anybody could get into. It's a Google Doc that will stay up there, that you'll have access to. There's a folder now that will make sure you have access to. You have the link, you have the direct link, but you can get into, and we will do one of those for each of our sessions.
Okay.
Yeah, and please feel free to post comments on there, after this. If you feel like you have some burning things you really wanted to say that you didn't get a chance to, the back channel is a great place to sort of get your thoughts out and also to hear what other people had to say that didn't have a chance to be part of the Hangout.
The discussion was very lively. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, so with that, Adam and Christine and Lauren and Leah, thank you so much for joining us here by video. And to all of the back channelers there, some of whom will be front channel people in our next session. We look forward to working with you. So have a wonderful evening and keep on keeping on.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye.